We are in God's Word today. We're going through 1 Corinthians chapter 14. This is definitely can be somewhat of a controversial chapter, but it is one that is so important. And I think as we go through it, we get to see the backdrop of how some of the supernatural spiritual gifts ought to function and operate within the church. And it's something that is, very clear, still available for us today. But because of backgrounds and where people have come from, they've been perhaps maybe scared of some of these gifts, uncertain of some of these gifts. In some cases, they've seen it taken advantage of, maybe even faked, all kinds of stuff. And so as we go through this, it's really important to understand that there is a balanced way to look at it. And the Bible actually provides a lot of clarity in terms of, what should some of these supernatural gifts look like? Specifically in chapter 14, it talks about tongues and prophecy. And what we've already learned is that, hopefully in one direction, is that tongues are made to go up to the Lord. It's a sense of praise and prayer in an unknown language. And then prophecy is that which the Lord is going to be giving out to other people. The goal with all these spiritual gifts is not to elevate the person with the gift, but rather to be an encouragement, right, to the recipient thereof. And so verse 6, it says this. It says, "But now, brethren, if I come to you speaking with tongues, what shall it profit you, unless I speak to you either by revelation, or by knowledge, or by prophesying, or by teaching? Even things without life, whether flute or harp, whether they make a sound, unless they make a distinction in sounds, how will it be known what is piped or played? For if the trumpet makes an uncertain sound, who will prepare for battle? So likewise you, unless you utter by the tongue words easy to understand, how will it be known what is spoken? For you will be speaking into the air. There are, it may be, so many kinds of languages in the world, and none of them is without significance. Therefore, if I do not know the meaning of a language, I shall be a foreigner to him who speaks, and he who speaks will be a foreigner to me. Even so, you, since you are zealous for spiritual gifts, let it be for the edification of the church that you seek to excel." And so here's Paul given this perspective, right? Especially when it came to that of speaking in tongues, one of the issues that really rattles the church today, so to speak, but could be a genuine blessing. But he says, listen, and you find out elsewhere in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 that Paul, he says, I would rather speak 5 words in a language that everybody understood than thousands in which they couldn't understand. And so from a public perspective, I really see that Paul is saying, listen, it would be better that we came with words that everyone could understand and hold on to. He would also then go on to say, but I pray in tongues more than you guys, than all of you. What does he use it for? I would say very personal prayer ministry, right? In those moments of deep groanings for people's, their life, for situations going on where you may not know exactly how to pray, but then the Spirit will give a sense of desire to pray. And those are the things which I think we see as we go through this. And that's a lot of the reasons why at River Rocks, from a corporate perspective, we don't use the gift of tongues in a public way. We see it being more as a private prayer language. Doesn't mean that there's not a way to be very balanced and controlled, as described elsewhere in 1 Corinthians chapter 14. But the real reason when we gather together is really focused there on verse 12. He says, even so, since you're zealous for spiritual gifts, right? Let it be for the edification of the church that you seek to excel. So listen, if you want to do something that's for everybody, every single person, that everyone can understand. Like the Spirit would never interrupt the Spirit or any of those things. Let's just make it all about the capacity to minister to other people, and let that be the intention and the course, is that we want to build up other people. And you know what? If we live in an environment, a situation where certain spiritual gifts might send people sideways, you're not building them up. Right? You might be actually distracting them from Jesus Christ. And so that's why Paul was very clear. He said, you know what? If I'm going to come to you, I'd rather speak by revelation, knowledge, prophecy, or by teaching. And that's kind of how we look at it. And so I encourage you, You should be zealous for spiritual gifts. You should desire them. You should desire for God to use you in mighty ways. But let's always make sure that we have a sense of reverence for the way that these gifts ought to be used amongst everybody in the body, so that we can really honor the Lord with them. I love you guys, and God bless you all.